What's going on, guys? It's your boy Az. We're going to be quickly talking about the Pocket Dimensions rewards today and what that means right now moving forward. Essentially, if you've already completed both runs, you would have received some good rewards. For considering they didn't really expect any extras from us. If you've been playing the game and you've been doing your thing, this is just an extra game mode that gave us additional rewards, and I think specifically for a lot of end game players or even mid game players, these teal augmented resources for bringing characters up to tier 16. That was a really nice caveat for us. I think the Scarlet Spider shards were nice. We got some elite promotion credits as well, so you can bring up some characters up on those red stars. But as well as most importantly, those really hard to get completed teal materials for bringing characters up to tier 16. And why is that important? Well, it's important because if you haven't started Dark Dimension 5, or you're already started it and you're kind of going through it, of course it's going to get you additional characters. And I know for myself and a lot of other free-to-play players, due to the Pocket Dimensions, that was able to bring up a lot of characters that were, they were kind of close, or they were in proximity of being tier 16. And now with those extra rewards, as you guys can see here, I can pretty much bring Doom up to tier 16 if I really want to. And then as well as I've got Kestro in here as well. I was close on a few materials, but that Pocket Dimension really helped push it, pushed them kind of through that point, which is now it's nice because now we can basically just equip and bring them up to tier 16. But what I will say is this: I will, tell you guys to be cautious about that because I think right now with the amount of characters that we've been seeing the game pump out, and of course with resources and kind of this bottleneck effect. Definitely for sure, I definitely heed some caution there. And I think the best example I'll use right now here is I'll jump into Dark Dimension 4 and just show you guys what the other, or excuse me, Dark Dimension 5, not 4. Obviously right now we've only gotten a handful of people that have actually completed it 100%. Still a handful of people. The game mode's only been out for a few months, so of course that's expected. And even then, we're talking about very high level end game players here with obviously some deep pockets as well. That's I think lots of normal players, even if you're a late game. And for myself, I'm pretty much a launch player. We're just scratching the surfaces, and we're just getting a couple characters right now. So I mean, for them to have 20 some characters at tier 16, or maybe even more, yeah, it's a very impressive feat for sure. But anyways, it's because of these guys that have gotten this early completion that's given us a bit of insight. So for sure, I think going through and clicking on the nodes, you can kind of see what people have used. But I think for sure one of the biggest eye openers for me is if you guys take a look at the city nodes, and this is the example I'll use. Respectively, there's some players here that have used Symbiote Spidey, and they've used Anti-Venom, which are both very solid picks. For sure, I had them pegged down as probably contenders for myself. But now that we've gotten these Web Warriors released into the game, and I'll just quickly pull up the tier 15, 16 materials chart here. And as you guys can see here, the tier 16 gear list. If you're looking at the Web Warriors, these guys are pretty much half the cost of the previous Bio characters we were using before. And I mean, if you're looking at Carnage and Anti-Venom, Symbiote Spidey, those characters are pretty much going to cost you twice the amount of materials compared to, let's say, any of the new Web Warriors. So if we're looking at Scarlet Spider or even Spider-Punk, it's pretty astonishing. And then not only that, but if you guys take a look here, if we go down the list, even these newer characters that they've pumped out. So we're talking about Magic, and then obviously not recently, but a little bit ago, Kestro as well. These newer characters have costed quite a bit cheaper than their predecessors. So of course, I don't think anyone's gonna be pumping resources into Cable, or they're gonna be going for for Ultron unless they've really got ample supplies to bring these characters up. But as you guys can see here, what I would recommend right now is, yes, it's great that we are getting these teal resources from Pocket Dimensions, and hopefully, I really hope they bring back another form of it, maybe Pocket Dimension 2 or a version 3 or something, so that way they can bring out more rewards. But for now, what I will tell you guys is, just based on this alone, and how fast they're bringing out characters, and they're supposed to be, they're teasing Apocalypse and whoever else, maybe the Horsemen that are going to come alongside with Apocalypse. We're better off holding on to our resources right now. Yeah, unless, I mean, like I said, if you feel some very strong, I think right now there are characters that are going to be safe bets. I'm not saying, hey, don't use it ever, but I'd say right now, if you have, say, for example, enough to get 10 characters through, or maybe even 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through Dark Dimension 5, then I'd say, you know what, just start pumping into characters you feel very good about. For example, Kestrel. I think for sure, for myself, I'd probably bring her to tier 16 with no regrets, because she is an original character. She's very, very strong. She is really good in so many game modes. I don't think anyone would ever regret that. But other characters, I mean, let's just use the symbiote example again. And as you guys can see here, I've even contemplated on bringing them up to level 85, because I'm just not really sure with the amount of resources we're pumping into these guys now. And of course, the alien spore shortages as well. Do we want to really bring guys that we're not going to use anymore? So of course, I have a feeling, and I hope I'm wrong, but I have a strong feeling that perhaps the Web Warriors are going to be our go-to team for raids once those guys become the dominant, once they're farmable, once you get the red and yellows up on them. And right now, they're not as slow starters as the symbiotes are. The symbiotes, once they get going, they're unstoppable. But the Web Warriors, they can pretty much get going from day, from the get-go, and that's kind of why it's nice. The evasion, the speed up, all those amazing buffs. It's just absolutely amazing. I'm having fun playing with them right now. So, and of course, having characters that cost half the price as well really make a big impact. So, I think right now, for sure, there's characters you can hold on to, and you can probably pump all the way. But I'd say right now for resources, I'd hold on to the teal resources. I'd hold off on pushing anybody to tier 16, at least until we get a bit better idea of how these materials are going to come into the game, because right now they're not really farmable with their uniques or their mini uniques, whatever you call them, outside of the store and the war store. But and then of course outside of special events, like for example like Pocket Dimensions as well. But for the time being, they are making and creating more and more powerful characters, and I would hate for you guys to pump resources into characters that cost just as much as, for example, like a Cable or an Ultron level character, and then all of a sudden they bring a character at half the cost, and maybe the stats are even tripled, right? Because that seems to be the way the power creep is going. But anyways, hopefully this helps you guys out. I think for myself, the strategy here is, if you're free to play or you're not spending a lot of money, I would make sure you're using those resources very, very carefully. I think characters like Kestrel, Silver Surfer, I think those ones are sure characters, and how fast they are and how strong and how powerful their stats are in the game overall. I think you're probably safe. But other characters like Symbiote, Spider, Carnage, Venom, I'm contemplating right now even bringing them up to level 85, and even putting any more resources, because they've pretty much been overtaken by the Web Warriors. So hopefully this helps you guys out, and hopefully makes sense. Thanks guys, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.